So, hi. I survived. Most of us who were there during the weekend survived the 48-hour readathon. And I say survived in the best way possible, because before I get started on all my stats and stuff and how I'm going to do this video, wrap-up video, I just want to say thank you to Becca for hosting this readathon. It was so organized and it was so much fun, and I enjoyed it a lot. And thank you to the host of the reading sprints. I had a lot of fun being in the lives with you guys, especially when, you know, we all were getting delirious and we all just kind of let it show at some point. I think my favorite memories were the self-care prompt, and like my favorite things were the self-care prompts and the scavenger hunt and everything. Roasted cheese and the mask thing, and the 7 a.m. song will be some of my favorite memories of a readathon for a very long time. And if anybody from the Discord is watching this, I had a lot of fun reading with you guys and our chaos that was going on. Just pure chaos, pure delirium. It was a lot of fun, especially some of us were like, I'm gonna stay up the entire 24 hours, the first 24 hours, or the first 12 hours. And then about the 6-hour mark, we're all like, no. And then those of us who said we were gonna stay up for 24 hours, we hit 12 hours, and we're like, And then I thought it was funny, because we're all like, I'm gonna go to sleep, and then most of us couldn't sleep. So I think that was a lot of fun, going through the readathon and watching everyone slowly decline, but still be highly ambitious that we're gonna complete the prompts that we want to. So just a huge thank you to the community we had going on during this 48-hour readathon. I would absolutely love to do another one, but as much as everyone joked about it, I'm definitely not doing another one next weekend. But if there is ever another one, which no pressure to Becca, because I can imagine how exhausting this is, I'll definitely be joining in and making it work. So I think I'm going to get into the stats and how we're going to do this video, because this video is going to be done a little bit differently. So number one, I did journal. I did keep up with the journal, struggled to keep up with the journal this weekend. And I think I'm going to go over my stats first, and then after I get through my stats, I'm going to get up and clean. Normally, I would have cleaned my room, or just not mentioned how messy it is, but I'm too tired to not clean and not record at the same time, because my room is also my workspace, where I do my GED studies and stuff. So I need my space to be clean, and I also just genuinely want to record this video, so I'm going to mix the two together. So with that being said, here are my stats. So my caffeine count for this weekend is high, but I did, let's see, I had 10 things of caffeine, so it was a balance between coffee and pop for the most part, or soda or cola or whatever. Angry water. I didn't have angry water this weekend, but it would have been helpful. For day one, I slept a grand total of 3.5 hours. I did make it to all but one live show. And then for day two, I slept a grand total of 2.5 hours again. So over this 48-hour readathon, I slept for a total of 5 hours. Which I think is pretty much how everyone else did. For some reason, none of us could sleep this weekend. And then I did complete all 8 prompts. Also, I said I was going to continue on with the prompts, which I will. But along with my favorite memories, I at some point gave no fucks about judgment, and also recorded my own 7 a.m. song, but I still can't wait for Jade to hit the charts with her song. But anyways, if you know, you know. If you don't, then just ignore what I said and let's get to the prompts. So, give it too much airtime, but I did reread Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban for dark cover, and I think that was another thing I really liked about this readathon. Well, I know it's something else that I really enjoyed about this readathon, is Becca even said it herself. She doesn't care what anybody does for this readathon as long as we're having fun, which I think we practically had a party this weekend, so I think fun was definitely covered in that. But I was already reading Prisoner of Azkaban, and I was trying so hard, because I started it the day before the readathon, which is just something no one should do, is start a book pre-readathon. And I actually really enjoyed it. It was kind of nice because the first read of the readathon got to be a comfort read. So I went and read Night Country, which is the sequel to the Hazelwood. Now, the funny thing is I didn't think the Hazelwood would be a book series that I enjoyed. I mean, yeah, it's fantasy, and I enjoy fantasy, but normally that's not how 2 and 2 works. I actually enjoyed this one. I think the ending was a little, part of the ending was a little convenient. I feel like it could have been done a little bit better, but maybe I should also read this again when I'm not in a state of delirium, because I think that's pretty much what I was in all weekend. And I also really think this was a really good, there was a lot of good character development, and that's saying a lot for over 2 books. I would, you know, it seems like a lot of books struggle to develop characters over, well, there's my jewelry that I've been looking for. Readathon hot mess. I only want 2 books, and this is such a vast world, over 2.5 books. There's also a short story that I read before the readathon, and it did really, really well, to the fact that there is, I'm trying to describe this book without spoiling. I guess one thing, besides my enjoyment, what this book is about is this, there is this mom and daughter duo. The mom grew up with fairy tales and fantasy and all that kind of stuff, but her and her daughter have been on the run since she was born, which that was a whole discussion in and of itself. If you've read the series, you know what I'm talking about. And so they're pretty much on the run this entire time, and this book series goes over why they're on the run, what they're on the run from, and what this other world may or may not be about. So it was really interesting to see that development, and also it was fun for me to see where my reading growth has changed, because I had previously DNF'd the Hazelwood thinking that I would never get to the sequel at all, because at that point there was no novella, because this came out in like 2018, and so it was interesting to see my reader growth, where now like I read this book and it was alright, but I still enjoyed it, and I gave it a second chance, where I previously wouldn't have done that, and this would have been so far out of my realm I wouldn't have picked it up on my own anyways. So in all reality, I could have doubled up on prompts, but with the beginning of the readathon, I was like, I'm gonna do all the prompts. And since I'm such an ambitious personality type, I didn't, you know, I couldn't, mentally, I didn't want to stop. I didn't want to go from, I'm going to read all the prompts, to then deciding not to read all the prompts. And then I finally read They Both Die at the End by Aldous Surveyor. This book, reading a book that's going to break you during a readathon is a really good bad idea, if that makes any sense. Like, it was enjoyable and it was a good time. It helped me get a reading prompt done. But probably not my best idea partway through a readathon. Like, I should have, you know, maybe started it at the beginning of the readathon, or, you know, literally anything but mid-readathon. So, how did I enjoy this book? I enjoyed it full well. It wasn't the book I was expecting it to be, in the best way possible. I enjoyed this book quite a bit. If you don't know, They Both Die at the End is a book about two boys who get two people who get a call on their death day saying, you're gonna die today, basically. Not basically, that is what happened. And them just figuring out what they're gonna do with their last day. And I think for the most part, I did a lot of deep thinking during this readathon, which is probably why I was struggling to focus so much. I was a lot of feelings of what would I do on my last day, because that is such a big thing. Like, this is your last day of life. You're just given 24 hours to do whatever with, and you might not make it that 24 hours. And I think this book did a really good job of playing on emotions. I wouldn't have thought that I could feel so much for characters in such a short time span. I would have thought that it would have taken longer, but no, I literally felt like I was feeling what the characters were. Your heartbreak, because, well, they're gonna die. And, one person has family issues, and another person has other family issues. Talking about these books without spoiling them is so difficult. This stuff. Anyways. So, overall, I gave They Both Die at the End a 5-star. I feel like it's going to be a book that I think about and resonates with me for a very long time. And I also used this book for the prompt 3, which was to read a contemporary. Now, luckily, I got some easier books in this readathon for me to read. The thing that I would have read was Saga. Oh, please hold, that's not where I read Legend, the graphic novel, and it was so good. I completely forgot what this book was about, so that made it 1,000 times better. So I think the fun part was finding out about this whole new world and who these characters are, but I felt like they were written like they weren't complete strangers, and I think it would have been better if I had read the book first, because I feel like I tossed myself headfirst into a wild journey, when maybe I should have just met them at the train station and gone from there. I think the character, I do want to go and read the books and the other graphic novels and find out my full opinions from there, but I also feel like it was still really well written and really well developed. It felt like it went super quickly, but that could have been because I was reading. I feel like I even slowed down how fast I was reading at this point, because I was honestly losing momentum, and it still felt pretty fast-paced, which was not what I was expecting. And I saw the word quarantine and freaked out a little bit, because I think as much as we need it, I think most of us are tired of hearing that word. So, random fun fact, part of what I did during this readathon was peel paint off of my wall, and I didn't even bother to clean it up. So, honestly, my room just needs swept real bad. But yeah, I think before I talk about the next book, I think I want to talk about a little bit of what I was doing over the readathon. So most of the readathon, I honestly spent locked in my room. Well, not locked in my room, but like I kind of just held myself hostage for a little bit. But I actually watched. I need to go update my Twitter thing, because I forgot about another movie. I consumed a lot of media. Like, yeah, I read some books, but I also did a full Chamber of Secrets rewatch. Again, this would be my second rewatch of the year. I also watched Rain Man for the first time. Rain Man, I had no idea what it was about going in, and I have no idea how to explain it going out, except, there's this character. I guess the best way to quickly explain it is there's a brother who finds out he has a strange sibling who has Asperger's, and he doesn't remember him because his brother's older than he is. And at the start of the movie, of course, he's like, I need my money. The guy who, this other person, obviously doesn't need the money. Well, come to find out that he doesn't completely hate him. He remembers who he is. So, that's a terrible way to explain it. But, honestly, I'm still out of it, so I have no idea how to explain that movie or explain anything right now. But, yeah, I really enjoyed Rain Man. I think the Asperger's thing, I can't really say because I obviously don't have it. And the autism that is in my family isn't that. But one thing that I do appreciate is the autism part was done respectfully. They didn't treat him like a dumbass the entire time. And they actually got into the realism of how some people treat people with autism in general, which is trash, especially for this time period, the way people treated them. This movie takes place during the 80s, and we all know, well, I guess you wouldn't know, but quite a few of us know that the 80s, well, the 60s, 70s, 80s was all a bad time for literally anything, mental health wise, but especially autism. Autism was really freaking bad. Yeah, it's something that I don't get into on my channel. I feel like even though it's in my family, I just don't feel like having that. I don't think I have the right or the room or the anything to speak on it. But when I do see movies like this, I want to talk about it just a little bit, because it's something that I do relate to. But moving on from that, the next thing that I read was Saga Volume 5. And this series keeps getting crazier and crazier and crazier. As annoying as that way to explain that is. It's the truth. So, So, Saga Volume 5. Let's talk about what Saga is about in general. Saga is about a family in space who is on the run because the two parents of said small human are part of two different classes, two different people that are supposed to hate each other. Now, this sounds like a really annoying Romeo and Juliet stereotype, but it isn't. It is so much more than that. It is so much better, so well done and so well written. And I thought by now I would be bored of the series. I'm like, just with that idea, with that basis going in, I would have thought there would have been, it would be an open shut case. It would be a one and done, really quick series, but it continues to get better. I'm really curious to see where Volume 6 is gonna go. And where we're gonna end up from here. I feel like it could go a lot of directions, and I'm really scared for our main character the entire time, but they're so small that it just feels like they're coming into the stereotypical phase of being a main character. But anyways, that was used for POC challenge. So there is two of the main characters, the mom and one of the agents. I don't know, I cannot word right now. One of the agents, I guess, is also black. They're both black. And, well, from what I understand, they could be something different, but the series really hasn't gone into it. You can just tell that they're people of color. Okay. This is really how this weekend went. I thought I was done cleaning this section of my room. I haven't... There was a scavenger hunt, and I haven't even put my books back the way that they're supposed to be. So I guess we're gonna come back to this section of room and talk about Arusha. Oh boy, Arusha. It's a really good book. It was a really popular book when it came out. Still a hot mess from this weekend. It was a really good book when it came out. It was really popular. People were really enjoying it. People were, having lots of fun. I think most of us were having fun because we were missing our Percy Jackson and Heroes of Olympus and all that kind of stuff. But I personally thought the characters flopped a little bit. Not the characters, and honestly the plot flopped quite a bit. And I just feel like there could have been way more to it. I was really bored partway through the book, and I almost DNF'd it again. This was another book that I had previously dropped but kept on my TBR in case I might change my mind later. Yeah, if it wasn't for the Readathon, I probably would have DNF'd it. I could have DNF'd it anyways and still counted it for the Readathon, but I'm competitive with myself, so yeah. Arusha happened. I will be continuing the rest of the series, but only because I like to complete series. And I'm still gonna give Roshni Takshi a chance to be one of my favorite authors. So this book was used for prompt 6 to read a first book in the series. And with that being said, I'm gonna stop with the books and talk about another movie I watched. So we talked about Harry Potter, and partway through we talked about Rain Man, which was a really good movie. And now we're gonna talk about Jumanji, the movie that I finished like 40 minutes of. Number one being it's a Robin Williams movie. I love Robin Williams. May he rest in peace, because he's just one of the greatest actors of all time, in my opinion. Can agree to disagree if you want, but it was a really interesting movie. I want to know what the heck these people are on, or better yet, where did they come up with that idea, because it was such a good original idea, and it was for that time. Watching it compared to today's movies, of course, it's not our standard. It's not all of our fancy editing and all of our CGI. Oh, the CGI was hilarious because it's so bad. But for them, it was great. It was like top of the line. It was just something new to them, and so the movie nerd in me was very satisfied because I got to see how things had changed between now directing and then directing. Aw, look, where's she at? That is Princess or Victoria or Mama Cat, because she likes the mama or boy cat. But the movie nerd in me was very satisfied to see how much things have changed movie-wise, but plot-wise, it was also really good. I'm trying to decide what I want to clean now. Oh, plot-wise, it was pretty decent. It was pretty decent. I'd say it was decent, but it was a really good freaking movie. It's a movie that was sticking with me for a very long time, and I am very happy that I finally finished it, because originally I had watched part of this movie at like a diner, I guess, kind of thing, and then I have been periodically watching it over the months, and I'm glad I finally finished it. You can't see what I'm doing down here, but I'm picking up my desk. And making a bigger mess at the same time. Sometimes you gotta make a mess before you can get paid. I also feel like movies kept me sane during this readathon. If I hadn't watched the couple movies that I had, I might not just have got anything done whatsoever at all. But yeah, let's move on to book 7. Book 7 was Arusha Dante's Secrets of the Uterus. I cheated. I finished like the 8 minutes, like for a good 8 hours after the readathon was over with. But whatever. I read it for the readathon. This is my coffee cup from last night that needs to be taken downstairs. I really enjoyed this book. I personally feel like it's hard for me to talk about because I am not Mexican at all. I'm not part Mexican at all. I am not any of the, I think there's even a Puerto Rican character, or that was they both died at the end. Something like that. I read a lot of what I hope are good rep books this weekend, but we'll get into that in a second. I was just interesting, I guess, to see someone else's life and to see this coming of age story, but to see it from a not white person's view, because I feel like when it comes to coming out and the conversation of coming out, it's either white people or it's black people struggling. It's not like they don't, but like there's allowed to be I've read some but there's allowed to be good stories about black people, and I feel like there's good stories to be about everyone that's POC. And it was really refreshing to read a book that was that. It was also really refreshing to see it from a gay side and not from bi or lesbian point of view. I also enjoyed the writing of this book. I feel like this might be a younger work of the author. So I would definitely be interested to see his other books and what his writing style is now. But yeah. And then my 8th and final book that had me feeling some things and had me raging was 16th Seduction. I read this for the other prompt. So basically I just picked some prompts, or I picked some books, and then I put them in a number generator. And it decided to pick this book, which was one of the ones where I was like, thank God, because I was exhausted and worn out and just done. I was done with this readathon. I was tired of reading. Oh, I wasn't done with the readathon, but I was definitely tired of reading. And this book is the 16th in the series. which is the longest series I have ever read, and I'm still reading because there's 20 books at the current state. So, I feel like the series is doing really good at keeping things alive, keeping it going, and I'm really happy with how it is keeping things going, keeping things flowing. Character reunion that I was afraid wasn't going to happen, and it did happen, so I was very, very happy about that. And I think that's everything. So I didn't finish this movie, which is fine. I watched most of Rain Man, all but like 18 minutes of that I didn't watch. I watched Love Chamber of Secrets, I watched the last 40 minutes of Jumanji, this is still in my DVD player, but I also got 20-30 minutes into Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, movie 2. This is technically a rewatch, but it's been years since I watched this. Well, 5+, definitely. Which I've never rewatched the series. No, that's not true. I have rewatched it. It's been for freaking ever. And I enjoyed that a lot. I started watching movies at the tail end of the Readathon, so I watched them within the last 24 hours. Simply because it's kind of what everybody else was doing. They're like, I'm reading and watching a movie. You know, it was a lot of what was going on, which I do not blame them at all. I can also use these books to finish 8 more Readathon challenges, so that felt really good, just pinging on both readathons. But yeah, I think that's everything. Yeah, there was a lot of good laughs. There was a lot of good fun during this readathon. And now most of my room is also clean, so that's a bonus. I'm sorry if this video was a hot mess. I am still exhausted, but that might have something to do with the 5 hours of sleep in 48 hours. I hope you guys are okay with this style of video, and I will be getting the camera quality might be changing up soon, so we'll see. With that being said, thank you for watching. If you made it to the end, and another thank you to the host, everyone in the Discord, and all the people who were doing this friends, and the fun times on Twitter and YouTube and everything. But yeah, and that is it from me. I will see you guys in the next one, which will be here on Wednesday, because I originally, that's part of the reason I stayed awake. I edited a video for pre the readathon. So, there'll be another video on Wednesday, and I'll talk to you guys later.